What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video, and thank you for joining me. My name is Jesse, and today we're working on my 2024 Harley Davidson Road Glide. It's been a trend lately that I've been working on the bike more than riding it, but that does mean that I've gotten some really cool parts on this thing lately. One of which being a new seat from Saddlemen. It is their road sofa, and it sits me lower and further back than my step up from them. I like that because I'm on a 21-inch front wheel with a +2 suspension, but that has changed how comfortable I am with my bar and riser setup. So today we're going to be addressing that. The easiest way to do that is to swap out your top tree with one that has optional mounting locations so that you can get your bar and riser set up exactly where you want it for your comfort level. There are a few different companies that offer these, but the one that I went with is pretty sweet. Let's check it out. All right, we're not wasting any time here. Let's take a look at what we've got on the bench. All right, here we have it. You're looking at a Thrashin top tree, bottom tree, and their matte forged carbon lock cover. I am going to end up getting this clear coated so that it matches all the rest of my forged carbon, but for now, that's sweet, looks good. So, top tree. This is all you actually need to do to be able to get your risers closer to you. You can see here is the stock mounting location, and here is the one that brings it closer, 1.35 inches. They've got this nifty setup here to where, put it that way if you want it closer to you, or flip it around and put it that way if you want the stock mounting location. Really nice clean hardware. We now have 2 pinch bolts instead of 1 on this top clamp, so that's a nicer design. They do provide you with a new stem bolt and a really pretty washer cover thing there, so that looks really nice, a lot better than the factory stuff. Bottom tree is pretty much unnecessary. It looks freaking awesome. It's definitely going to improve the look under here over this matte black, just, you know, cast piece. But keep in mind, the new trees on these bikes are already aluminum. There's not going to be a ton of weight savings with going with this billet stuff because you already have billet stuff technically. It's just not like pretty machine stuff, right? Top tree too. The top tree on these new bikes is aluminum, and that's one of the reasons these bikes are lighter when you pick them up off the stand, because they were able to get rid of some of that weight. So to me, the only reason that you would ever do this setup, and the only reason that I am now doing it and hadn't done it prior, is if you're looking for that mounting location that brings it closer to you than the stock tree can, right? That's the only reason that I would ever recommend anybody to waste the money on doing this setup, because this was like $1,290 after taxes for a top tree, a bottom tree, and the carbon cover there. So if you want to do it on the cheap, you could just do the $600 top tree and not do the bottom one. I opted to do the bottom one because what's another few $100s at that point when it comes to building my dream bike and sharing all of that with you guys. So it's gonna look good, it's gonna match the wheels, and buy once, cry once. I just keep saying it, and it just keeps hurting my wallet every time. But yeah, so this is gonna be a pretty involved process. We're looking at removing the wheel, the brakes, the fender, suspension, yeah, the top tree, the bottom tree. We're even gonna need a hydraulic press since we're doing the bottom tree as well. The stem goes there, and then your bearings in there, and it has to be pressed off. So yeah, this is gonna take me probably 2 days because I'll yank everything tonight. I'll go get that bearing pressed off of the stem tomorrow, and then try to get everything reassembled before the weekend because we're supposed to have some killer weather. So we're gonna get started. I've shown most of removing this stuff before in some of my other videos, doing suspension and whatnot. So I don't think I'm gonna show you guys everything. I think I'm gonna time lapse just yanking at least the, you know, wheel, suspension, all that stuff off. And then from there, we'll get detailed when it comes to the tree stuff. So let's get started. Okay, we have the front end completely stripped. Everything is out. We've got the bars out, we've got the risers off, we've got the trees, top and bottom off, and holy crap, the stock tree is so much lighter than the Thrashin one. I'd be surprised if it's less than like a 2-pound difference. Like, it's shockingly lighter than the Thrashin one. So keep in mind, this is definitely not a weight savings modification. So like I said, if you're not looking for getting the bars closer to you, I wouldn't recommend doing this upgrade. Just straight up, I wouldn't. So yeah, I've got everything gutted. Tomorrow we're going to press the stem out of the stock bottom tree and the bearing and all that, and move it over to the new stuff. And yeah, so that'll happen tomorrow. Tonight, girlfriend made us pokey, and we're calling it. So I'll catch you guys in the morning. All right, good morning. We are back here in the garage, and we have been busy. So last night, I ended up test fitting the 12-inch risers with the tree with the closer location, and decided that I did want to shorten them up a little bit. So I threw them on the lathe, and I took off 3/4 of an inch. I was able to do that because with the new tree design, you don't have the bushings anymore. You have new hardware from Thrashin, you know, the bolts, it's like an inch or something like that goes into the actual riser legs. These riser legs from Kraus have a lot more that's drilled and threaded, so you can kind of take some of that material away and still be okay. So I already made sure with all my measurements and everything that taking off that 3/4 of an inch off of the riser leg allows me to have the bolts go up all the way. So no longer is this a 12-inch riser setup. It is now an 11 1/4 inch riser setup, and then 4-inch mid-bend bars. So instead of a 16-inch, it's a 15 1/4 inch riser setup total, if you're curious. Let's go over to the workbench, and I'll show you guys what we've got going on. All right, so here we have the new tree with the OEM stem and bearing. There was a machine shop local to me that was nice enough to let me use their hydraulic press. They did not want to do it because of the pretty chrome, so they let me do it. No problem there. It helps to have about 1 1/4 socket to go in that recess there, and then you're going to need a sleeve of some sort that only presses on the inner race here. You do not want to press on the cage or the rollers. You'll damage the bearing. So Thrashin sells those tools if you want, but you can make them out of anything. So I mean, no big deal there. So that's ready to go in. Now, top tree. Here is our OEM top tree. This is our steering lock, and I wanted to keep that. Dan and I do some trips where, you know, parking at motels and stuff in random towns, I like to be able to lock it. So what we need to do is take a grinder or a Dremel and make a notch in it so that we can undo these screws, because these are security screws. They cannot be undone with any sort of like flathead Phillips, Allen. They're domed really nicely too, so there's like no way to like even use like channel locks or anything on them. So just make a notch in them. They're not very tight at all. So once you get a notch and you can get a bite with a flathead, it'll come out. And there you go. Here we have the ability to keep the lock covered if you don't want to use the lock. That's really nice. Just super clean. I know a lot of people opt for that, and I understand why. If you're not worried about being able to lock your steering, it's a much cleaner look. I want to be able to utilize the steering lock, and going with the forged carbon lock cover will allow me to continue the theme of forged carbon and billet aluminum that I have going on the bike, and it's right down the center line too, so it really matches perfectly. I am going to have to get this clear coated so that it matches, but that's that. So now we're going to pull this cover out. I'm going to show you how the stock lock mounts in that location, and then these will cover the hardware there so you cannot see or access those bolts. So it looks really clean and anti-theft situation there. So yeah, let's get rolling. It's almost a shame to do that, but like I said, I have my reasons. Set that right in there. Fits really nicely. You go ahead and blue Loctite these little screws, and we'll run them right back in. Stock lock is in there and secure. Looks really good. Now we have our ability to choose whether you want the stock location or 1.3 inches, I think it's 1.35 inches closer to you. I want it closer. So like that. And I guess I could put the cover on now. This guy just goes like so. Nice clean finish there. Fit is good. And it did come with hardware. From the bottom tree, we are going to need to remove the little brake line mount thing here. Slap it on there. There we go. Now it is going to be a little bit challenging for me to slip the bottom tree with the stem up and in, get this bearing set up on top, set the other tree on top of that. So bear with me, the filming might not be the best, but I'm going to do the best I can for you. Okay, so as you can see, the bottom of our frame here is where that bearing sets in on the stem, and then our other bearing is right in here. I already got the dust cover on, so we're ready to slip it on in. Okay, bottom stem here. And once you get the stem bolt started, you can let go of that bottom safely. I'm running it as far in as I can just because, but right now you could just relax it and it won't fall out. There's your bottom tree. And our top. We are ready to throw the risers on now. Once we have the risers on, we'll slip the fork legs up and in. That's going to center the upper and lower trees together, and then we can go ahead and worry about tightening up the stem bolt how much we want. There is an actual spec for that. In a Harley manual, it's called fall away. In my opinion, Harley always recommends it to be way too loose. You do about 90 on the highway coming around a corner on a big bike like this, and you start to feel the rear end sway. So most people, like you'll hear Thrashin or like Cruzy or any of those guys, when they talk about doing this, they always tighten their steering stem up a bit tighter. Yes, it may wear your bearings out a tiny bit quicker, but the bike handles a lot better when you don't have a little bit of like excessive, neck stem bearing play. So yeah, we'll tighten that up and then pinch bolt and so on and so forth. So for now, let's get the risers on. So we're gonna red Loctite up these bolts, and we're gonna swing the tree over so that I can access the bottom here to get a bolt in. Once it swings back over, you can actually just have it set like that for now, and we're good to set the riser on and try to get it started. It's a finicky process at best, but it works. Having a partner helping you is much easier. Whew, that's stressful. All right, we managed to get the bar and riser set up, all bolted up. You can see it's secure now. We have not torqued it yet, but we'll get to that later. Now I want to get the bottom and top tree aligned well. To do that, I'm going to start slipping the fork legs in. Once we do that, then we can go ahead and set our fall away or our neck bearing tightness to where we want it, and we'll keep it moving from there. Okay, so we've just got that tight enough to where it holds it in place, and now I can make sure that I have the right height that I want, because these are +2s. You don't have to have them all the way down. You can slip them up into the tree a little bit if you prefer. And then I also want to make sure that I have the caps, just a personal preference, make sure I have the caps facing the same direction on both of them. Okay, so I like to use a set of calipers to do this, just to make sure that the height is exactly the same on both sides. We got 15 millimeters over here from fork to the bottom of the cap. So we're looking to do the same thing on this side. That's gonna make sure that we're perfectly even. And then from there, just to make sure that I have the cap straight, got straight edge so that I can run it across the two. So now that we have the pinch bolts on the top clamp snug on the fork tube, we can go ahead and lift the bike up in the air and do the bottom ones. With that chrome tree, it looks really, really good under there. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and snug them up for now. There is a torque sequence. We'll get to that next. I still need to set the fall away as well. I did already get it pretty close. I believe for these bikes, the fall away or the torque for the bearing stem bolt is 8.9 foot-pounds. I went to 10. Like I said, I like a little bit more snug. It's not gonna harm the bearings anywhere near anytime soon. So as you tighten these, if you tighten one, the other one gets loose. Tighten the other one gets loose. So you need to torque these multiple times, do multiple passes back and forth. Okay, we're gonna torque these pinch bolts up. It's something like 16 to 18 foot-pounds. We're gonna go 18. Like I said, you need to torque them in a sequence back and forth at least twice, but honestly, I just do it until both of them are just torquing without spinning anymore. Reason behind that is as you tighten one, the other one gets loose, you know, so you just want to make sure that you do that with all of your pinch bolts so you don't run into any issues. Okay, as you may remember, we have not torqued the risers yet, so now's a good time to go ahead and do that before we get more stuff in the way here. I think it's something like 50 foot-pounds. I'm gonna check and get back to you. Okay, so stock torque is 40 foot-pounds on the high end. Kraus says 55 for those bolts, so I think we're gonna go with 55. So as I mentioned, we still need to set our stem torque here. I believe it's 8.9 according to the manual. We are going to go 10, that's what I like. And that should give us a little bit of resistance, make sure that we're not running into any issues with slop. Okay. Fortunately, now that this stuff is exposed, it's really easy to go ahead and make those adjustments on that neck bearing if you need to, because it's right there. Next up is the stem pinch bolt right here. We're gonna torque that to 30 foot-pounds. Okay, so we're getting kind of close. We have a wheel to throw back in, fender brakes, run these brake lines into the little plastic factory piece there, run that ABS line. But yeah, we are getting close. So we're slam this wheel in and keep it rolling. Probably time lapse it again because this is all straightforward stuff that I've showed you guys before. And just like that, the bike is back together. Sorry for that drastic transition. It was actually a couple weeks ago that I last filmed that time lapse with you guys. I ended up having a buddy show up. We wanted to go for a ride and grab some dinner. So we just hurried up, got the bike together, and I never ended up finishing filming this video. So here I was editing today to get this out tomorrow, which is Thursday, so today for you guys, and realized I got no more footage. I need to finish that up. So I'm gonna bring you guys in, show you how awesome this turned out. I love the way that it looks. And after I give you guys a couple of glory shots, we'll talk about my final thoughts now that I have put a couple hundred miles on this new setup. So what do you guys think? Do you like the way it turned out? I have to say, I used to really like the plastic nacelle. It kind of followed that tank line and just, it looked like it fit there well. It covered all those wires. I really didn't think that I was gonna be able to live with kind of an open setup like this when I first saw people start doing these trees. This is, I love it. Every time I'm riding, I'm just staring at it. It just freaking pops. It is such a statement piece, just looks freaking awesome, and it does serve a purpose for me. As I said earlier, I honestly wouldn't recommend spending the money unless you just want the bling, unless you do want to get those risers closer to you. For me, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. Beyond bringing it closer and having that performance handling kind of improvement, because having the bars a little closer to you does allow you to kind of, you know, be a little bit more one with the bike. There isn't really a noticeable difference in terms of stiffness or anything other than that. These are not drop trees, they are the factory rake. So you're really not gonna notice any gains from doing this modification, to be quite honest, other than aesthetics and getting the bars closer to you. So if those things are important to you, I highly recommend these Thrashin trees. They're freaking super clean. Install was a breeze, everything fits really well. They use nice quality hardware. They do have a really good instructional video on how to install this stuff. They don't put in torque specs, but other than that, it's a really well detailed out video. So check that out if you guys are considering doing this. There are a few other brands that offer these. You've got Kraus, OG, you know, do your research, decide what you like. But if you are considering this upgrade, it does serve, you know, the purposes that I mentioned. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment, let me know what you guys think of it. Yeah, you already know my thoughts and feelings at this point. And don't forget to subscribe, more stuff coming. I'm actually putting a third exhaust on this bike now. So new exhaust will be here on Monday. So another couple weeks, you'll have a video on that. Currently have the bike apart and polishing it up because we have the 1,000 bike rally this weekend. It'll be June 28th, Saturday we'll be there, but it runs from Friday to Sunday here in Washington at Castle Rock. So if you're a local, come out there, look for us, say hi, let's get some beers, let's have a good day. So other than that, I appreciate you guys watching. I will catch you in my next off week.